Hi, I'm Shane, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Beth, and I'm a level 2 chef.
I'm Rory from the Institute of Culinary Education, and I'm a level 3 chef.
This is a nice, simple New York-style cheesecake that comes from my wife's family's cookbook. It's easy to make, and I love preparing it.
This recipe is a ricotta cheesecake. It is my husband's absolute favorite cake. It's absolutely delicious.
I like cheesecakes that are light and not so dense, so today I'll be making a European-style cheesecake, which is actually a no-bake recipe.
Okay, we're gonna start with making the crust.
First thing we have to do is get this pan ready for the cheesecake to go into so that it will easily come out once we unmold it.
Instead of a traditional crust, I'm going to make an oat biscuit to place my cheesecake on. It's a little bit more savoury.
You have the graham cracker crust all crushed up and ready to go.
The graham cracker layer allows for me to easily open and release the cake from the springform pan.
So first step, we're going to add the soft butter and the sugar.
Take some room temperature butter, and I want to get the butter all around the pan. Now for the graham cracker crumbs.
Pouring in the butter and my cinnamon. I'm gonna mix that all up. What I'm looking for is a nice even consistency. You don't want too much lumpiness.
So we're going to cream this together until it's light and white. So next we're going to blend the flour and some rolled oats in the food processor. Add some black pepper and salt. And then I'm going to add my dry ingredients into the mixer until they're incorporated. And we're just going to mix it until it's just combined because we don't want to create too much gluten.
Pour the mixture over it.
Just run the crumbs along the sides and the bottom of the pan until you get a really nice coating.
This looks good. We're gonna chill this for 30 minutes.
So next step, I'm gonna gently bring it into a ball, wrap it in plastic wrap and chill for 15 minutes. After it's chilled, I'm gonna roll it out flat, roughly a 1/4 inch thick. We're gonna bake this at 350 degrees for around 8 to 10 minutes.
And here's your nice dusted graham cracker pan.
Once it's baked, I punch out the biscuits. And there we have our oat and black pepper biscuit to use as our crust.
Now let's start working on the batter.
The first step is to separate your eggs, and this is important.
We're gonna whip our egg whites. If you get any of the yolk into the whites,
You're not gonna get the same aeration. It's not gonna be as light.
I crack it a little bit, and then I let the egg white fall into that first bowl, and then I move it back and forth, and then I deposit the yolk into the other bowl. Unfortunately, I did get a little yolk in with my white, so we gotta throw this out and start all over again.
I'm using my hand to catch the yolk. The eggshell itself can be sharp, and it can puncture the yolk.
Okay, let's try this again. Whoop, did it again. I'm gonna have to start over all over again.
Really easy.
Take 3. Very gently, more gently than I was doing before. Just a little bit in there.
If you get a little bit of yolk in there, take a little bit of the shell and then scoop it out.
All right, my whites and my yolks are separated. And now I'm gonna beat my whites.
I'm gonna whip my egg whites so that we have very stiff peaks.
So what you're looking for to make sure it's done is that when I pull out this hand mixer, it's gonna hold its shape.
So we're gonna add this to the KitchenAid with a whisk. This is gonna add some richness to the cake. It's also gonna make it lighter and a bit more airy. It will change color. It will go from a very deep yellow. Now it's very pale, almost white.
Beautiful. Put them onto the dish.
When you pick up a nice little dollop, it stays on the spatula. It doesn't leak back in. So now my whites are done, and I'm gonna move on to the yolk cream cheese mixture.
We're actually using 2 different types of cheeses.
3 big, nice bricks of cream cheese.
And this is a brilliant Savarin cheese. It's a triple cream brie style cheese from France. So we're just gonna scoop that out.
This cheesecake is for my husband, and he loves ricotta cheesecake. I like using the ricotta alone because this is what helps make the cheesecake so much lighter than a New York style cheesecake. I'm gonna start whipping the ricotta while I add the other ingredients.
And in you add
Our egg yolks, one at a time. Flour. Flour is a stabilizer.
We're gonna add some heavy cream.
Now for the good stuff.
Sugar.
Pinch of salt, always a pinch of salt. Some almond extract, just a little bit, and always vanilla. What makes this cheesecake different, I think, is that I take the zest of a whole orange and a whole lemon. The neat thing about these rasps, if you do it so that it looks like it's upside down, you don't have to get it onto the board. It just stays right in the rasp. Little at a time so that it doesn't spray all over the kitchen.
And now we take our hand mixer, crank it all the way up to maximum, and here we go.
So we're going to mix this until there's no lumps for about 2 or 3 minutes.
The key to keeping everything in the bowl, as it turns out, is to start at a lower setting than high and then working your way up.
So this is looking nice and smooth. This is all ready to go.
Now what we're going to do is fold our egg whites into our batter.
So Frangelico is a hazelnut liqueur. It really brings out the flavor of the cheese. We're going to boil this Frangelico up.
Here I've got my egg whites. They're ready to go in. And the important thing here is to fold them in. Don't mix them in. Very gently. Be very gentle. Don't even speak loudly when you're doing it.
all of the air that we will get from the whites. You don't want to deflate that. Turn it around, down and over.
This is sheet gelatin. This will soften in cold water. And as soon as you add some heat to it, it will melt and dissolve. Pull this gelatin out. You can see this gelatin's now soft. Squeeze out the excess. So the frangelico's boiled. This gelatin's really going to help the cheesecake set. And once it's totally dissolved, we're going to add it back into this egg mixture. Now I'm adding my cheese mixture from before into the egg mixture. And we're going to mix this until it's totally combined.
All right, my batter's done. I'm going to go grab my chilled crust.
You can see that all of the white is not completely gone. I don't want to mix this any more than I already have.
My crust is set. My batter's ready. Let's put it all together.
This is all ready to go now. I have these 4 ring molds, which I'll be placing my mixture into. We're going to place into a piping bag to pipe into the molds.
Pour it straight in, smooth it around.
So I'm just tapping this out to level it off so that when we put the glaze on, it's nice and flat.
So what you want to do is ladle this in evenly in the springform pan on top of the crust. I'm not worrying too much about how lumpy it is because there's another layer going on top. This is ready to go in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes before I put on my sour cream final layer.
I'm going to cook this in a water bath. Once I have the pan in the oven, I'm going to pour boiling water around the side of the pan until it goes halfway up. The water bath cooks the cheesecake evenly.
Again, this is a no-bake cheesecake, so these do not need to go into the oven. Now I'm going to put these in the fridge for 4 hours to let them set.
While my cake is baking, I'm going to make the final layer, which is a mixture of sour cream and sugar. This is going to give the cake a sweet tang, and it's going to almost act like a frosting.
Next, I'm going to make a strawberry glaze. So we're going to soak the gelatin in ice water. While that's soaking, we're going to heat up some fresh strawberry puree. Strawberries go really well with this cheesecake recipe because it's actually a more savory recipe. Tartness of the strawberries really cut through that.
Today I have raspberries. I like to use a little bit of an orange liqueur. This just gives it a little boozy hit, and some powdered sugar because powdered sugar more easily dissolves than granulated sugar.
All right, it's almost done baking, but before it finishes, we're going to add that sour cream layer. These cracks on the surface are totally okay because we're going to add the sour cream mixture right on top. And now we spread it with the back of our spoon. This is going to go back in the oven for 5 more minutes to finish baking, and then once it's done, I'm going to put it in the fridge to chill overnight.
So this gelatin is now soft. I'm going to add it to the hot strawberry puree, mix it until it's melted.
What I'm doing is macerating these raspberries with the orange liqueur and the sugar.
So this glaze is ready now. We're going to let this cool to room temperature, and then we're going to glaze the cheesecakes.
Okay, the cake is done. It's chilled overnight. Time to serve it up.
First thing I do is run my knife along the edge.
Undo this latch over here and lift up and away. Now here you have this beautiful cheesecake.
I always powder the top.
So my cheesecakes have chilled for 4 hours, and now I'm going to pour the glaze on them. To level them off, I'm going to put these in the fridge for about an hour so the glaze sets.
To finish it off, just put a few blueberries right on top.
A little bit of macerated raspberries right on top.
The glaze is set on our cheesecakes, so I brought one out to finish off. I'm going to take one of our oat crackers as a base and place a cheesecake directly on top. And I'm going to finish off with some fresh strawberries. So the very last thing we're going to add to this cheesecake is some freshly cracked black pepper.
And this is my cheesecake.
Here is my ricotta cheesecake.
And here is my cheesecake.
Time to taste.
That's great.
It's light.
This is really delicious.
The strawberries and the black pepper really give it a kick. The crackers gives it a really nice texture. If you like strawberries and cheesecake, can't go wrong with this.
What I love about this cheesecake is that you've got the crisp of the blueberry, the smoothness of everything in between, and then you've got that nice crunchiness of the graham cracker.
You can taste the citrus, definitely taste a little bit of the booze with the macerated fruit. This is a tried and true recipe. I wouldn't have changed anything.
Let's slice into how our 3 chefs made each of their cheesecakes. Classic cheesecake is a type of baked custard usually made with smooth, unfermented cheese. When a cheesecake isn't baked, instead of being like a custard, it's more like a dense, delicious mousse. For his crust, Shane used traditional crushed graham crackers. He added cinnamon as a warming flavor, which complements the graham crackers perfectly. His crust is also fairly thick, providing support for his cheesecake and coming in handy when slicing and serving.
You want to make sure that you don't actually have any of that mixture seeping in and touching the bottom of the pan.
Beth used graham crackers as well, but not as a base. In essence, she used them instead of flour, so the cake wouldn't stick to the pan. Rory used an oatmeal cookie, which was added just prior to his assembly. It provides a crisp texture, a hearty flavor, and some visual appeal. For his batter, Shane used a chiffon-style mixing method where he whipped egg whites separately and folded them gently into the cream cheese and egg yolks. This created a light and porous texture to his final cheesecake. Normally, you don't want a lot of tiny holes in your batter. They will expand and rise when heated, then contract when cooled, and that's how cracks are formed, like the one that was in Shane's cake. During the last 5 minutes of cooking, Shane also added sweetened sour cream, which stays slightly viscous and also filled in the crack. Shane slightly overbaked his cheesecake, which removed moisture and increased its firmness. Beth used the same chiffon-style mixing method as Shane, but added additional flavorings like vanilla extract, almond extract, and citrus zest to give her cheesecake a pungent quality. She also used ricotta cheese instead of cream cheese. Ricotta is not really a true cheese, since it's actually made from whey, which is the water-soluble byproduct that occurs when making cheese curds. Beth baked her cake in a hot water bath, which allowed for even heating and promoted gentle coagulation of the cheese and egg batter.
Kind of like a soft blanket all around the cheesecake.
Even though the oven is set at 375 degrees, the water will not exceed 212 degrees without turning to steam, which takes a while since that requires a lot of energy. Ricotta has a higher water content than cream cheese, and the gentle coagulation of her batter resulted in a softer cake than Shane's. For Rory, the gelation of his cheesecake doesn't come from baking, but from the gelatin that he used. Soluble gelatin is derived from collagen, a connective insoluble protein found in meat. He also used a combination of cream cheese and Brie Savarin, which is a soft, sharp cow's milk cheese that's fermented for 2 weeks or less. The key to this cheesecake was refrigeration instead of baking, where the gelatin changed from a soft, viscous liquid into a firm gel as it chilled. The texture of this cake remained very smooth, almost like an ice cream. Shane's simple addition of sweet blueberries pairs well with the cinnamon in the crust and the tangy, piquant cream cheese. Beth's has a far more complex flavor profile. Her raspberries that were macerated in orange liqueur complement the citrus zest that was added to her cake batter.
I know this is why my husband loves this cheesecake.
They were poured over her cheesecake batter after each piece was cut and then dusted with powdered sugar, which counteracts any alcohol taste that might be there from the orange liqueur. Rory used gelatin in his topping, which solidified the sweet strawberry glaze that he made. His final sprinkle of black pepper added a slight spicy note that counters the sweetness of the strawberry flavors. Whether you're making something traditional or a little more complex, there are plenty of ways you can make your cheesecake stand out from the crowd.
Hey everyone, sorry I couldn't make it to this episode. Just got a new job, so I had to take some time off. But just know I saved you about 3 minutes because all I was going to do was cut up a piece of pancake and put it in my cheesecake batter. I will be back for 4 levels once again, and I will reign supreme as a level 1 chef.